You must look at how he's driven. He's surrounded by bodyguards with rifles. He lives like a billionaire, Julius Malema. After Parliament, he takes off the red overalls. I mean, I've seen pictures of his shoes. He wears these shiny shoes that are so expensive. I don't even know the names myself. Right? The whole EFF thing is an infrastructure meant to look after the privileges of Julius Malema and his circle of friends. Full stop. Nothing more than that. That's what this thing is about. So the ANC, the MK, and the EFF, the top layer of these guys, these are fat cats. They live like millionaires. They are rich. They drink expensive whiskey and champagne and all of that. So they wear expensive suits. The EFF is the same, is not different.
Now, obviously, we saw mass purges in the EFF. We saw Floyd Shivambu leaving. We saw Dali Mpofu leaving, etc., as well as some of their new signings in the off-season, the Jimmy Manyes, etc.
Mm-hmm.
What is in the EFF without Julius Malema?
No, there's no EFF without Julius Malema. Julius Malema, he knows. I mean, he founded the EFF. Him and Floyd, by the way, they sat somewhere, I don't know what they were drinking, and decided that they are going to come up with this thing called economic freedom in our lifetime. They even thought to fool the poor will wear overalls so that the poor will think that we are part of them. Before that moment, by the way, these fellows, Julius Malema was so fat, he had even collapsed financially a province called Limpopo. So they set up this thing in order for them to perpetuate their privileges. But the bottom line is, if Julius Malema were to leave the EFF tomorrow, this whole thing would collapse. So there's no EFF without Julius Malema. There is no doubt about it.
Is there an MK without Jacob Zuma?
Without a doubt, there is no MK without Jacob Zuma. And I've been saying this, and people don't want me to say this. I will say it again. The day Jacob Zuma drops dead, that thing is going to fall apart like a house of cards. They will start fighting as if there is no tomorrow. Remember, the headquarters of MK is in Kandla, in a private home of Jacob Zuma. The children would close the gate and say, "This is our father's thing. You are not coming in here." Even those who call themselves leaders, Floyd, Dali, and all of them, they will start fighting amongst each other. In the second place, there have never been elections in MK. By the way, Jacob Zuma said there shall be no elections in MK. So how are they going to replace Jacob Zuma? Because their party believes in a non-election policy. So they will fight. This whole thing will fall apart like a house of cards. That's why I'm not worried about it. I don't factor it when I think of South Africa's future.
Okay, so let's talk about the future, because if we obviously had a seismic shift in the last elections, where the big sort of feature of the 2024 election was the loss of 17 percentage points of the ANC support, from 57 down to 40%. But now the story has become a lot less clear, because you've had the government of national unity for a year now, and we've seen a couple of by-elections, and the by-elections are giving us sort of confused signals. Where are you seeing, what's your temperature check on progress of the various political parties as we sit now?
My sense is that the ANC has declined, and it will decline even further going into next year's local government elections. And certainly in 2029, the ANC will cross the 30% mark, coming down. I mean, remember, you've correctly observed, from 57% to 40%. So just think of that trajectory continuing downward. The ANC crosses 30%, it sits somewhere around 25%, 26%. That's why I see the ANC. In 2034, there is no ANC in a South African government. There will still be a coalition government without the ANC. So the ANC is being processed out. That's number one. Number two, I see the DA being stuck in the lower 20s. Not being able to cross the 25% mark going up. Why? Because the DA in the main is a white party, and it refuses to be a truly South African party where both blacks and whites are accommodated and they lead together. So the DA will get stuck because the white population, I mean, it's relatively smaller compared to the black population. I mean, they must thank the coloureds, by the way, because the coloureds are voting for the DA. With Gayton McKenzie's party, the DA will actually be arrested. It won't grow in the coloured community. So that's the DA. The EFF will decline. The signs are there already. It's stagnating. With the departure of Floyd, Dali and them, the EFF will not grow. It will actually go down. So by 2029, the EFF will come down to about 6%, 5%. So it's going down. So it's not going to grow. And there is no party in South Africa, by the way, that has lost electoral support and regained it. So the EFF is going down into the dustbin of history. And then you are left with MK, one of the biggest parties. MK will grow in 2029. They will govern KwaZulu-Natal. If Zuma is still alive, the premier of KZN will be coming from MK in 2029. And that will push the MK up, by the way, because in KZN there are numbers. Remember, KZN is the second largest province in terms of population in South Africa. And they appeal mainly to black people in KZN. So that will show up the MK party. And even nationally, the MK party, on the strength of the numbers in KZN and parts of Mpumalanga and a bit in Gauteng, it will grow. So I see the ANC meeting the MK party. As the ANC goes down, the MK party going up. So you will have a situation in 2029 where the DA 2020 is in the lower 20s, 23, 24%. The ANC 25, 26%. They will still have to form a coalition government, but it will be weaker. And then the MK will be around in the 20s also. So that's where we are going. But to cut a long story short, South Africa will be governed by a coalition government for a minimum of 15 years. And then some party will emerge down the road that will take over as a majority, but not in the next 15 years.
Okay, but the maths isn't mathing, as they say, because on that scenario, we're short of about 20 to 30%
Yes.
of voters that will vote. I'm saying, we had quite a fairly low percentage turnout, and I think that's part of democracy. I don't see this as some kind of major threat. When people don't go to the polls, that's also a vote. That's fine. But the percentages remain the percentages. It's percentages of people that vote. If we've got the DA making up, let's say, 5% on the ANC, and the ANC losing 15% where they are, there's 10%. So that 10% we give to
smaller parties.
Yeah,
we spread it.
So which of the smaller parties? I mean, Gayton McKenzie. Let's start there with Patriotic Alliance. He has become the biggest supporter of Cyril Ramaphosa in the country. I did a live event with him. My word. It was a love fest. All he could say was how much he loves Cyril Ramaphosa, and how much he should be supported, and he's going to back him on everything. At that point, he was going to back him on the VAT increase. He's going to back him regardless. What do you think that his message will continue to resonate with these voters?
No, certainly Mackenzie's message will resonate with the coloured component of our population. Here's the thing about South Africa, and we've got to be very honest about it. Identity politics is a serious business in South Africa. So this idea that, and there are many whites who think that way, that no, it's black people who vote on the basis of their skin color. That's nonsense. White people also vote on the basis of their skin color.